All right, YouTube, I converted to communism. No, I'm just joking. It's quick literary update time. I apologize for the odd angle of this. This table's not quite right for having the microphone on its stand while the computer's also at like eye level. Whatever, it doesn't really matter. Brief literary update. First and foremost, Sickness and Hell, I'm flying through it much more quickly than expected. I thought I'd be like on the first chapter still, honestly, right now. I'm on chapter 5. It's already done, and I'm on now going to begin work tomorrow on chapter 6. It's going a lot more quickly than I thought. I've had a lot more ambition and drive to do this. Finally, I feel it's time to unleash this upon the world. It's splatterpunk, for those that may not be aware, and it will be available on my blog. Link in the description to my literary blog. Important if you're interested in anything related to the occult, certainly, but I also write other things as well. Secondly, the Quack Medicine manuscript that I purchased, I did receive it, and it's already done. It was fairly short. Ultimately, it was 48 pages of material. I culled it down a little bit because some of the sort of images in it, while they were kind of fun, they were also completely pointless. And I'm not going to charge people more by driving up the page count for no reason, really, on Amazon. It's just not the sort of thing that I do. I kept it more or less in its original format. I did break it down a little bit so that the sort of quack medicine testimonials would be sandwiched between the larger sections that are actually of note. Specifically, the dream interpretation. I find it funny. This is like early 1900s. It's Victorian era. You've got this quack medicine manuscript that's advertising pleasant pellets made with datura. I'm sure that was very safe. I'm sure people had very much fun using these specific laxative pills that were being marketed to them, tonics and salves and all these different things. You've got the quack medicine, and then you've got a passage on dream interpretation for no real apparent reason. Then you've got recipes for invalids, which is funny. It's like rice water, barley water, and junket and stuff like that. I mean, it's hilarious. I'm sure that many people wasted away on such a diet. They say, oh, only use a tablespoon of brandy, as needed for the patient. And this has to be understood in context. Dr. R.V. Pierce was sort of a quack Victorian doctor, but a respectable one. He did, peddle these largely useless sort of placebo cures, a lot of them which likely contained opiates. Certainly datura is admitted to, at least within the context of the pleasant pellets. For various maladies, he also ran an invalids hotel and sanitarium, as well as a surgical institute and laboratory out of Buffalo, New York. And what this was, it was this enormous electrified building in order to create ozone, which was supposedly really good for people's, for consumption, skin conditions, cancer, and so forth. He claimed all sorts of powers. So it's an interesting manuscript. It's quack medicine. I'll shelve it with the folk materials, though, because it does contain some folkish remedies in there, some sort of like outdated Victorian stuff, like tourniquet and suction method for snake bites and so forth, along with the dream interpretation. It really fits in almost with the oracle tradition there, because it's taking a lot of material from Tusi's work and copying it verbatim. Secondly, the hieroglyphical fortune teller is now 1/3 done as far as content, but as far as time goes, it's more like half done, because a lot of the time early on I had to spend actually formatting the images that have to be placed in the document. The enormous 26 by 26 grid, that everything had to be nice and centered, it had to be even. I also had to make sure it was large enough so that it would actually fit on the page, but also be high enough quality so that it would be legible when it's actually physically printed out in a manuscript. The rest is just filling out the answers of the oracle, and I've gotten 8 of those out of 26 done. So it's getting along in length. It won't be long, couple days, and it'll be complete. It might even be complete tomorrow, honestly, minus the cover art. That'll take an extra day, because I get lazy. When a document's done and it's time to actually use the CreateSpace sort of cover templates, I get a little bit lazy on that. I partially format it, and then I go and I play around on SimCity, and then I do a little more work, and then I go gather berries, and then finally I complete it like at 4 o'clock or something. But I've been plowing through all my work for the last 2 days at a monumental pace. I've also completely formatted, and I'm 1/3 of the way through editing, King James Demonology, which is an extremely important work that I wasn't aware of until fairly recently because it was mentioned in another work that I'm editing, which is the Secret Book of the Black Art. Now, the Secret Book of the Black Art is not Cavendish work, which is simply the Black Art. It's a totally different manuscript. The early part of it, the first roughly quarter, delves primarily into history, the history of witchcraft and things related to a very interesting work so far. The last quarter of the work is essentially fortune telling by cards and card tricks and things like that, astrology. And then there's a lot in between as well. So it's a very good, it's sort of like Cavendish Black Arts, but a little bit more on the folksy and historical side than the, the more literalistic and analytic side, I suppose you could say. But a good work altogether. Along with this, while I'm writing Sickness and Hell and editing these works, I've also obtained about a dozen more manuscripts in addition to the roughly dozen that I already had that I intend to edit and release as well. Some of these are on alchemy, mostly shorter works. They tend to be 25 to 40 pages in length. I've got Cultus Arborum, which is about phallic tree worship. I have another manuscript, both of these are about 110 or 20 pages long, on serpent worship actually. I'll be editing and releasing them, and I hope to have all of this work done before the end of the year. Because my ultimate goal in editing these works, according to my sort of spiritual plans, was to release 100 edited works in cheap, affordable paperback copies for the service of mankind, essentially, along with writing a number of my own works. And I've still got other ideas for those as well. There's going to be a Morbid Stories too. There will be sequels to Sickness and Hell. I've decided that there'll be at least 2 or 3 of those. I've got a rough outline of a story that's sort of sword and sorcery sort of manuscript that actually is based loosely on a dream I had when I think I was still in middle school at the time. And then I've got several other sort of horror novels floating around my head, and another one for a sci-fi, sort of a libertarian sci-fi, if you will, which I think will be interesting to many people. So I can do the mainstream work. A lot of the stuff that I'm interested really in writing, though, is more fringe than that. And then I also wanted to do a compilation of macabre tales, which is sort of like Morbid Stories if it was significantly toned down, and it was more like Edgar Allan Poe than it was Craig Skip and John Spector sort of material. So there's a lot of work to be done, essentially an infinite amount, because I don't plan on stopping anytime soon. Every time that I think that I've exhausted sort of the possibilities of manuscripts to edit, I find new ones. And I don't think that's all coincidence, because it always seems when I give up hope, I find some mother lode of old manuscripts somewhere that I can actually process. And then every time I think that I've sort of run out of ideas to write on my own, I get some idea either in a waking dream or just in connection to something else that I'm studying or something that I'm reading and editing through that gives me ideas as well. As for the video end, I might as well do a quick aside on that. The Entheogens playlist, people had continually urged me for about a year to continue releasing those videos. I've decided to do that. I've got a couple more already listed up and ready to go. I've also got numerous occult topics that I wish to discuss. There'll probably be 100 videos in that playlist by the end of the year. So I'm sort of going into a 4-tiered approach here. That is, much of my material that's most appreciated by the YouTube viewers, by you, is political or related to current events. But I like to tie that into the occult. That's another angle. As well as literature, which overlaps with the occult but isn't always the same. And then also Entheogens, which is an area that I spoke of for years, sort of gave up on halfway, and then decided to take back up because people are interested in my opinions on it, it seems. I wanted to flesh that out. But I don't think I'm going to return to making really many more trip reports because there aren't that many more to make. I haven't used any of these substances in years, so there's no real purpose behind it. Also, I don't encourage I have to keep saying this fucking retarded disclaimer every time. Oh, I'm not encouraging you to take these things. Well, no shit. In most parts of the world, they're all illegal. It should stand to reason that I'm not encouraging that. I would like to think I'm not a total dunce. But yes, I'm going to keep releasing massive piles of material, literature, videos, whatever. I want to do more music, which is basically just me singing karaoke, but people seem to enjoy it. If you enjoy that, channel link in the description to Fat Hawaiian Man, because that's where I've been storing them. For those who keep asking, oh, where'd your music go? I put it on Fat Hawaiian Man. I'll put the link in the description. I don't want potentially copyrighted material on my main channel. It just doesn't make sense. I just put it on the side channel and forget about it, because I'm like, well, if that channel goes down, who gives a fucking crap? All I've got there, I've got Manson stuff, and then I've got me singing. That's basically all that's there. I've actually got a third channel that I haven't logged into in years, which is just a bunch of Depeche Mode demos, for the most part. But that one hasn't been taken down, I guess. I guess the band doesn't care whether the demos are up there. It only makes sense, since it's the best music that you can possibly get. It's way better than anything made today. That's glowing praise for the best band that's ever existed. Beatles, eat your heart out. Sorry if my opinion offends you. No, it's not the Grateful Dead. It's not the Beatles. It's not Elvis Presley or Michael Jackson. It's not, whatever garage band is a legend in your hometown. No, it's Depeche Mode from Basildon in England, I believe, which voted for the Brexit. I was actually happy. That and the Warwickshire result were the only ones I wanted to see, and both of them voted for Brexit. I was like, yes, great stuff. So yeah, the brief update with a little humorous aside there. Literature and so forth. It's all going along smoothly. Sales have been steadily rising, let's say. So I'm pleased about that, even though that was sort of the secondary goal. The main goal is notoriety more than anything else. I'm more interested in fame and notoriety than I am money. Which is good because, I probably never will be particularly wealthy, but who cares? I can gather wild berries all day. I don't give a fuck. That's about all. Peace out.